Hey guys, quickly, I want to talk about time. I think everybody would agree the most valuable time we have with our students is that time they're sitting in class, right? That time they're sitting with us. And I know everyone's experienced this, even when we assign things outside of the classroom. In most cases, they don't have the level of support outside of the room that they have inside. So I want to talk about that time, that 45-minute period that we have students, in front of our faces. Let's talk about that time. So, in the interest of that 45-minute moment that we have those students, I want to think about formative assessment. What do we do with the results of those formative assessment? Um, Particularly in the case that one comes back and it doesn't indicate the level of learning that we expected, that we set out to achieve. What happens? What do we do? I also want to talk about this, and I've seen this in every math class, and I did it myself. We offer students problems, right? Practice problems. Problems. I've seen some of you attach a PDF on Ngrade. Students open it. They've got their problems that way. However you issue those is fine. But when they do those problems, what kind of feedback are you offering? And I imagine in all our cases, we try to go over those problems in some fashion. Um, I've actually conversed with some of you over the staff OneNote through the observation tab about this, and Miss Heine shared a procedure. I think something she was intending to do, planning on doing, the day after I was in her class, and that was fine. But that's the purpose of this video. I just want you to think about it. Consider that time when you offer the problems, students do them. Then what? How So this is probably bad practice at this point. But when I was in school, middle school, high school, my teachers did a lot of trade and grade. I don't know if that was popular at the time. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just my teachers were all bad. But we traded papers. Teacher stood up in front of the classroom, called out the answers. You checked them. Da 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 da. Okay, so that happens. If you take that chunk of time, if it's a 45-minute period, and you call out the answers for 15, 20 problems, what are we talking? Maybe 15, 20 minutes, I suppose, given that students ask some questions during that time. You always have the student that wasn't paying attention. You have to go back and repeat some questions, some answers, whatever. Consider the time. Multiply that by the number of a 180-day period. What happens? And as that time adds up, that's what I'm thinking. And then I want to tie this into. Everybody's making fun of me out here on this stupid thing. Uh, get that out of there. I want to tie this in a moment to something else, and I want to. Maybe this is the first time for some of you, and that's cool. We'll do this together. I want us to start thinking about what impact would it have on learning if we could offer those same practice problems where students problem solve and they work through the procedures and the algorithms, which things work and which things don't work. What impact would it have on learning if we could do that in an environment that provided constant and consistent feedback to students? We didn't have to stand up in front of the classroom and call out the answers. What if students were provided those answers consistently as they work? So they submit an answer, right or wrong. If it's wrong, they have to go back and keep working until they get the right answer. Then they move to the next question, and it keeps doing that. So it would liberate us from calling out the answers. Even if you have some type of student-to-student where they check each other's answer or some procedure that you do, what if you could liberate students from that time and yourself from that time? Next question would be, what do you do now with that open time slot, right? You've just carved out quite a bit of time. Now what do you do? And I guess if you go back 6 years for me, I was that teacher that kept saying, boy, I don't have time for students to write about what they're doing in math. I don't have time for students to speak about what they're doing in math. I don't have time to do these projects with students that include real-world relevant situations for students to grapple with. I don't have time to include very many tasks in my instruction. But now, I wonder if we could liberate ourselves from some of that time given a system that would provide students constant feedback, what would that do to the speed at which they acquire some of these skills that we're asking them to acquire? What would it do? What impact would it have on learning? I just want you to think about that. There'll be a part 2 video where I kind of dig into something that I used that benefited me and my students, and some of the ideas that I sort of grew into when I started to think about, wow, I've really got a lot of extra time on my hands. Thanks for listening, guys.